Hi guys, it's Steve from Vintage Classics with another video. This week's going to be a little bit different. There's actually not going to be any cards shown. It's a video that I mentioned a few weeks ago. Players that I think should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Just to stir up maybe a little controversy, a little debate amongst us. I'm sure some of you may have some players that I didn't put on my list or ones that are on my list that you don't agree with. But that's the fun of baseball. That's the greatness of baseball. I love all the sports, but there's nothing like baseball for history, tradition, stats, comparing players from different decades. It's done all the times. Off season now, the hot stove starting up. So I figured what better time than to go over some guys. I made a couple lists, so I don't have to do off the top of my head. I've got the pitchers, positional players here, and some pitchers right here. I figure we'll start with the pitchers first. I think on the top of my list, and there's no order by preference or anything. It's just guys I listed on there. The first one up is Tommy John. Tommy John had a great career. I've got the stats written down, so you'll see me glancing down. I'm just referencing them. But I don't see why Tommy John is not in the Hall of Fame. He's got 288 wins, 162 complete games, 2,245 strikeouts, lifetime ERA of 3.34. and 46 shutouts. And he pitched on some teams. Obviously, he was on some great teams too, the Dodgers, the Yankees, and stuff like that. But there was teams that he pitched on that weren't as good. So with 288 wins, it's a shame he didn't get those 12 more because that would have been a shoe in an instant Hall of Fame induction at 300. But at 288, I feel he's very deserving to get in. Next on the list, I have Jamie Moyer. Had a long career. I did win 269 games. A lot of people are going to say, yeah, because of longevity and stuff like that. But you still can't argue with 269 wins. A little less complete games, only 33. Because you're coming more into the modern era now when guys just don't pitch complete games anymore. 2,441 strikeouts. Lifetime ERA of 4.25. And 10 shutouts. Did I say shutouts for strikeouts? 2,441 strikeouts, 10 shutouts. Great pitcher, like I said, pitched for a number of different teams. But he's deserving. The next one is CC Sabathia, who will get into the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. 251 career wins, 38 complete games, 3,093 strikeouts, ERA of 3.74, and 12 shutouts in his career. CC's a great pitcher too. Made his mark with the New York Yankees, obviously pitched for the Indians too. So, but the CC Sabathia will get in the Hall of Fame in the next few years. Next is Dennis Martinez. Pitched Montreal, Baltimore. I'm sure I'm missing some teams. Great pitcher, won 245 games. Had 122 complete games. Getting back up to that number again where Tommy John had 162 year. Somewhat in the same era. Tommy John actually started in the 60s, where Dennis Martinez was in the 70s, but the complete game was more common during both those decades. He had 2,149 strikeouts, 3.70 ERA, and 30 shutouts. I put a lot of stock in the complete games. I've talked about this in some of my other videos. Guys would finish what they started for the most part. Not always, obviously. Now, if you go back further back than what these guys, the eras they were from, say the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it was nothing. It was routine for a guy to go 8, 9 innings. Sometimes even go into the 10th for one extra innings. But that's a bygone era. You don't see that anymore. That's one of my little pet peeves, but maybe I'll save that for another day. But Dennis Martinez is a good, solid pitcher. Next is Frank Tanana. Frank he won 240 games in his career. He had 143 complete games. He had 2,773 lifetime strikeouts. Started out as a hard-throwing fastball pitcher. Encountered some arm problems, learned to develop other pitches, and still maintained solid career numbers. Lifetime ERA is 3.66, and he has 34 complete shutouts. So he's another guy that's right there. He's part of the pitch with Nolan Ryan with the Angels, California Angels. Pitched for a number of teams, Texas Rangers, Detroit Tigers. So pitched here in Boston very shortly, I think one season maybe. But 240 wins, solid pitcher. Next is a homegrown guy. He spent time with the Indians and the Twins, the Pirates, and the Yankees, but he's known for as a Red Sox, El Tiante. Louis had 229 career wins. He had 187 complete games, which is the second most on this list that I have of pitchers. He struck out 2,416. He had a lifetime ERA of 3.30, and he had 49 shutouts. Louis, it's a shame Louis Tiant's not in the Hall of Fame. I know Jim Rice has spoken up on his behalf, along with other players, a lot of the Hall of Famers. I'm hoping Louis gets in before he passes away. He's getting up there in age. Had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times. Extremely nice. Get some autograph material from him, but read his book. Just a solid pitcher. Why he's not in the Hall of Fame, I have no idea. Next up is Jerry Koosman. Started his career with the Mets. He won 222 games. Had 140 complete games. 2,556 strikeouts. An ERA of 3.36. And he had 33 shutouts. Koosman, great pitcher. Always seemed to be overshadowed, though, wherever he pitched. That's probably, I don't know if that's probably hurting him. But Koosman was solid across the board. Good pitcher. But like I said, always seemed to be somebody else that was the ace of the staff or even the number two. But Kuz is definitely deserving. Next up is Joe Niekro. Joe's kind of forgotten about. His brother Phil, great knuckleball pitcher, Hall of Famer. Well, Joe's right there too. He won 221 games. He had 107 complete games. Joe had 1,747 strikeouts, which is a little low on this list. Actually, it's the lowest on the list. Lifetime ERA of 3.59, and he had 29 shutouts. But Joe Niekro, again, we talked about Koosman being overshadowed. Joe Niekro definitely was overshadowed too, mainly by his brother Phil. But some of the staffs he pitched on too, there was other pitchers that got a lot of the attention. But Joe Niekro is a deserving pitcher. Next, we got Jerry Royce. Royce won 220 games in his career. Came up with the Cardinals. He solid pitcher, pitched for the Pirates, number of teams. 127 complete games for Royce. 1,907 strikeouts. That's the second lowest of the pitchers on this list that I put together. Right before Joe Niekro, the last guy I talked about. Royce had a 3.64 ERA, and he had 39 shutouts. So Jerry Royce, good pitcher. Next is Mickey Lowledge. Actually, I have a card of Mickey Lowledge. I haven't put it in a sleeve yet, but it's one of those swell cards. I don't know, came across it somewhere. Mickey Lowledge won 217 games in his career with 195 complete games. That's the most complete games on the list of pitchers that I put together. You won't see anybody in today's game, or I don't even think in the future games, unless the game changes drastically or dramatically. You won't see anybody that touches even 100 complete games for their career. Mickey had 2,832 strikeouts. He had an ERA of 3.44 for his career, and he had 41 shutouts. Next is a very controversial player. In fact, he opened his mouth recently. I'm sure it went across the nation. Everybody heard about it, but up here recently, Tim Wakefield passed away. A great knuckleball pitcher, 200-game winner in the big leagues. Red Sox hero up here. Used to be on Nesson, one of the commentators. Does the Red Sox games. But Curt Schilling made the mistake of mentioning that Tim Wakefield was suffering, severely suffering, late stages of cancer, along with his wife. And I guess that was meant to be kept confidential, which is understandable by the Wakefield family. So Schilling's caught a lot of heat, but he's had a lot of history over the years of saying things that are maybe not the most acceptable. Sometimes you may agree with him, sometimes you don't. He told the Hall of Fame that he'll let his fellow contemporary players vote him in. He doesn't care. But I think it matters to him. But Curt Schilling is right there with 216 wins. Big-time playoff pitcher, money pitcher in the playoffs, the World Series. Everybody knows the bloody sock from my Red Sox. But Curt Schilling won 216 games. He had 83 complete games. Struck out 3,116 batters, which is the most on this list. Lifetime ERA of 3.46. And he had 20 shutouts in his career. So whether you love him or hate him, I mean, There's guys in the Hall of Fame that I really don't think should be there, but I have to respect the fact that they were elected and they're members of the Hall of Fame. Very select few players make that level. But on paper, Kurt Schilling, eventually I think he will get in. But the more, every time the balloting time of the year comes around, he seems to open his mouth and insert his foot or say something stupid, or he alienates the writers for the Hall. So, but maybe now with the different committees take a look at him, maybe Kurt will have a shot at getting in there. Next up is Vita Blue from the Oakland A's. Vita was a big-time pitcher in the Oakland A's dynasty. He won 209 games in his career. Passed away a few months ago. Good pitcher. He had 143 complete games, 2,175 strikeouts, lifetime ERA of 3.27, which is outstanding, especially nowadays. That'd be great. And he had 37 shutouts for his career. Now, I have 4 guys listed on here that are currently still active pitchers in the big leagues. I would say 3 out of the 4 will probably get in. The last one, I'm not sure. Actually, probably all 4 will get in, but I know 3 of them definitely will. The first one is Justin Verlander. Justin has 257 wins, which I think is still accurate. I don't remember when I compiled this list, but I think it was right after the regular season. So he's got 257 wins. He's got 26 complete games, 3,342 strikeouts, lifetime ERA of 3.24, and he has shutouts. He's got 9. Now, you notice the drop-off in the complete games. He has 26 for his career. Well, that's the most out of the 4 guys that are, I would say, right on the cusp of when they retire being in the Hall of Fame. Definitely going to get in. Clayton Kershaw from the Dodgers, 210 wins, 25 complete games, 1 less than Verlander. Lifetime strikeouts, 2,944. Lifetime ERA of 2.48. The very best on this list of all the pitchers I listed is Kershaw's ERA, and 15 shutouts for his career. Next up is Max Scherzer. Now, you talk about Schilling, he's another controversial player from today. Pitching for the Texas Rangers, just pitched in the World Series that ended last week. Unfortunately, hurt himself. Didn't really show well in the World Series, but fierce competitor. 214 lifetime wins. He's got 12 complete games for his career. 3,367 strikeouts. So that's impressive. And then his lifetime ERA is 3.15. And he's got 5 shutouts for his career. So his shutouts and his complete games are low. But you can't argue with the other numbers he has on the board here. Next up is, this is the one that's, I think is personally is questionable, but he probably will eventually get in someday. Zach Greinke. He's got 225 wins, which will get him consideration right there. 17 complete games, 2,979 strikeouts, a lifetime ERA of 3.49, and he's got 5 shutouts. So Zach Greinke, he's going to take a while to get in, but I think eventually he'll get in. I would say out of the pitchers I listed to you, the ones that are my personal preference to get in soon would be Tommy John, Louis Tiant, Mickey Lolich, Kurt Schilling, and Vita Blue. All right, let's go to positional players. I'll try to bang this out quick. I guess I did almost 14 minutes of talking with pitchers, so I'll try to speed it up a little bit. Positional players, I listed 16 of them. The first one is Vada Pinson. Vada, I'm gonna give you their hits, home runs, and I'll give their average and their OBP. And they have a lot of stolen bases. I'll put that on there. Vada Pinson has 2,757 hits for his career. He's got 256 home runs, 1,169 RBIs. He stole over 300 bases, 305. He's a lifetime 286 hitter, and his OBP is 327. Vada as an outfielder I think should be under consideration. He's at least as good as Harold Baines, in my opinion, and Baines is in. So next up is Al Oliver, member of the Lumberjacks team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, solid hitter. He has a total of 2,743 hits. It's too bad these guys I mentioned didn't get to the 3,000 mark, because that would be instant. He hit 219 home runs, drove in 1,326 RBIs. He only stole 84 bases, but his lifetime average is 303 and on-base percentage of 344. Next is Rusty Staub, Legrand Orange. I'm probably not saying it right, French. He outfielder. He had 2,716 hits. He's got 292 home runs, 1,466 RBIs. Rusty stole 47 bases, maintained a 279 lifetime batting average, and his OBP is 362, which is good, very good. Next up is the Cobra, Dave Parker. I met him a year ago. I don't understand why the Cobra, Dave Parker's not in there. These guys got 2,712 hits, 339 home runs, 1,493 RBIs, stole 154 bases, hit 290 for his career, and his on-base percentage was 339. And the guy played an excellent right field with a cannon arm. Anybody who grew up during my era watching baseball in the 70s and into the 80s would know Dave Parker. That he was a ball player. The next one, Omar Vizquel, I feel is as good as some of the shortstops in there, whether it be Pee Wee Reese or Phil Rizzuto, some of those guys. I think Omar Vizquel should be in there. He's got 2,877 hits for his career. Only 80 home runs, but it was an era when shortstops weren't known for hitting home runs. RBI is 951. Stole 404 bases. He had a 272 lifetime batting average and an on-base percentage of 336. Next is Steve Garvey. Garvey was another ball player that seems to be overlooked all the time. Outstanding first baseman from that era, the 70s, 80s, early 80s. Garvey has 2,599 hits. He hit 272 home runs, drove in 1,308 runs. He stole 83 bases. He had a lifetime batting average of 294, and his lifetime on-base percentage is 329. That's Steve Garvey, the Dodgers, the Padres. Ball player that should be under consideration. Next is Buddy Bell, third baseman. I saw Buddy Bell play a number of times. It seems like every time I went to a game with my dad, Buddy Bell's team, whether it be the Indians or the Rangers or whatever, they always seem to be playing at Fenway. He had 2,514 hits. He only hit 201 home runs, 1,106 RBIs, 55 stolen bases, a 279 lifetime batting average, and an on-base percentage of 341. Next is Dwight Evans from the hometown Boston Red Sox, although he did go on and play with Baltimore also. But he's, for all practical case, he's a Boston Red Sox. Outstanding outfielder. Right up there with Dave Parker in right field. Same type of an arm. Everybody knows the 75 World Series, that catch he made off of Joe Morgan. But Dwight Evans has 2,446 hits. He's hit 385 home runs. He had 1,384 RBIs. Stole 75 bases. Hit 272 for batting average. And his on-base percentage for his career is 370. So Dwight Evans, Dewey, definitely should be considered. Next up is Sweet Lou Whitaker from Detroit Tigers. Second baseman, played with Alan Trammell, the Hall of Famer. I know Trammell has spoken up many times over the years that his buddy Whitaker should be in, and I agree. Whitaker had 2,369 hits, 244 home runs, 1,084 RBIs, stole 143 bases. He had a lifetime batting average of 276 and an on-base percentage of 363. Next up, another shortstop. I put a few of them on here. From the Cincinnati Reds, Davey Concepcion. Concepcion had 2,326 hits, 101 home runs, 950 RBIs, 321 stolen bases. He has a lifetime batting average of 267 and an on-base percentage of 322, and he plays some outstanding defense for the Big Red Machine. A lot of people say he was the catalyst behind that team. I personally probably would say Pete Rose, but Concepcion is definitely should be a Hall of Famer. Next is another shortstop, similar situation, Bert Campaneris, Campy. 2,249 hits. He's got 79 home runs, 646 RBIs. But here's a good one, 649 stolen bases. Campy could run, as you guys know that watch baseball in that era. Lifetime batting average of 259 and on-base percentage of 311. But an outstanding glove, too. Then you get Cecil Cooper. Started out with my hometown Red Sox. Made his mark with the Milwaukee Brewers, part of the Brew Crew. Cecil has 2,192 hits, 241 home runs, 1,125 RBIs. He only stole 89 bases, but lifetime 298 hitter and a 337 on-base percentage. Next is Don Mattingly. Don's so close all the time. I don't know if it's because his career wasn't long or why he hasn't gotten in, but Don Mattingly has 2,153 hits. He's got 222 lifetime home runs, 1,099 RBIs. Only stole 14 bases, but that wasn't part of his game. 307 lifetime hitter and a 358 on base percentage. Then you get Ellis Burks, who again started his career here in Boston. Outfielder, played center field for us. He's got 2,107 lifetime hits, 352 home runs, 1,206 RBIs. Ellis stole 181 bases. He batted .291 for his career, and his on-base percentage was .363. Next is Cesar Cedeno, outfielder. Played with the mainly Houston Astros and a couple other organizations. Cesar had 2,087 hits, 199 home runs, 976 RBIs. Cesar Cedeno stole 550 bases fast. He was a fast outfielder. 285 lifetime hitter and a 347 lifetime on-base percentage. And the last one on this list is Bill Madlock, the Mad Dog. Third baseman, 2,008 hits, 163 home runs, 860 RBIs. He stole 174 bases. Lifetime 305 hitter and on-base percentage of .365. Out of this list, I picked a few of them that I think should definitely be considered firsthand for Hall of Fame, and that's Vader Pinson, Al Oliver, Dave Parker, Omar Vizquel, Steve Garvey, and Dwight Dewey Evans. Well, I know that was a lot of numbers. I apologize, but it's something I wanted to talk about. But if you're writing the names down or you do your research, those are some cards that, if you can find their rookie cards or early cards, if you don't already have them, they may be worth putting away. Because I feel that most of those guys will someday get in. But just a list I put together. Obviously, a rainy day. It's been raining a lot up here in Massachusetts this year. I think they said 15 out of the last 19 weekends it's rained, which is unusual for us. But I also have this. I had printed this out one time years ago. It's a box score from my first game I ever went to at Fenway Park as a kid. I was 12 years old, April 22nd, 1975, against the Yankees. I went with the Marlboro Boys Club. It was a bus trip. The Yankees won that day 5-0. The pitchers were Doc Medich for the Yankees and Rick Wise for the Red Sox. An unusual thing then, you probably can't read it because it's tough to read, but if you look closely, both pitchers went the distance. They both went 9 innings with Doc Medich getting the win. Some of the players that were in this game on the Yankees side that are well known, you had obviously Roy White was in left. Elliot Maddox was the center fielder. Bobby Bonds played right field. Barry Bonds' father. In fact, he was 3 for 4 that day with a homer and 2 RBIs. The home run he hit went right over the flagpole in Fenway. Longest home run I've ever seen in person. So Ron Bloomberg, the DH, the first DH, in fact, in the history of baseball. But Craig Nettles at third. Thurman Munson was the catcher, the late Thurman Munson. Another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. I should have put him on the list. I forgot. Chris Chambliss, the first baseman. Jim Mason at short. Sandy Alomar at second. And Medich was the pitcher. On the Boston side, the Red Sox, Bernie Carbo was in left. Dwight Evans was in right. Dewey Evans from that list. Carl Yastrzemski was at first. Freddie Lynn was in center. Jim Rice was the DH. Bob Montgomery was the catcher because if you remember in the 75 season, the first at least 50 games or more, Carlton Fisk was hurt and didn't play, so Monty played a lot of games. The shortstop was Rick Burleson, the Rooster. Doug Griffin at second. Bobby Heiss played third. He was pinch hit later on in the game by Cecil Cooper, and then Juan Beniquez went in and finished the game out at third on the defensive side of that inning. And again, Rick Wise pitched. That was a Tuesday, April 22nd, 1975. Attended 16,922, and yours truly was one of the 922. So, but that's just a little printout I have from the very first game I ever went to. Well, I guess I kind of lied. I've almost at 25 minutes. It's the longest video I've ever made, basically because of the stats and stuff. I apologize. There wasn't any cards other than the Mickey Lolich I showed you, but next week we'll get back to some more vintage cards. Again, thank you. I hope you guys have a great week. As always, it's a Monday when I shoot these. I hope you had a great weekend also. You had an enjoyable time. Didn't rake too many leaves. I don't know, depending on where you live in the country, but I got a gigantic oak tree in my front yard that the leaves are probably half off the tree, and I've already bagged, I don't know how many bags of leaves. But that's a tradition or a ritual up in New England. Yeah, the leaves are colorful, but it's a pain when they start to fall. But I hope you have a great week. And as always, keep collecting. And I'll do another video next week. Until then, may God bless you and talk to you soon. Bye.